video where he's being shot, it wasn't actually him. It was a hologram.
Oh,
there was a trap door. There was a trap door, and
but you don't actually believe this. You're just having fun with this.
No, I believe this. I believe one of two theories. That's one of the theories. I don't believe he's actually dead.
Okay, and the other theory would be,
well,
now I understand why you guys can't talk about things, because you guys are like scary with your brains.
The trap door that you think.
Well, so yeah, the door. There was a trap door. They covered the trap door up after, like, right either that night or the next day. I don't. That's the cover-up people.
The cover-up people.
Yeah, the cover-up people. What would you call them? I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Just like, who are they? What's the reasoning?
The CIA.
So where is he now?
In hiding.
She thinks it's Guantanamo Bay.
Why would he want to hide? He was very successful.
But there are people because
why
they were
would he want to be
him.
hiding?
Well, I will say in the video where he's being shot, it wasn't actually him. It was a hologram.
Let me.
This video actually reminded me of the hologram theory, which I had forgotten about.
I had never heard that. So I just had a young lady on. She's a clinician, and she specializes in cult practices, and she's a Christian apologist. Just had her on my show an hour ago. Fantastic young lady. Definitely want you to check out what she's saying. And I asked her about this. Why do people do this? Because, in the Carmelo Anthony story, there's a lot of people doing the exact same thing. They've come together. They've brought in these new stories and new theories and new ideas. And you're like, you just made that up. Like, you just made it up. And she said that one of the things is that the human brain likes to have a story, a running narrative. And if you don't give it a story, or you don't give it, fill in this blank, it's going to make up something of its own.
There was a trap
that's
door. There was a trap door.
Sorry.
And that's kind of what we're watching here, is because there's information and gaps in the information, people have created new stories to fill it in to make sense to them. And that's why it's so hard for them to let go of it, because if I just present to you logic and say it's not logical for a hologram, for that to have been a hologram, well, that's a logical statement, and Bronson would agree to that, because Bronson's not given over to retardation. Jared would agree to that because he's not crazy. But these people who've lost their sensibilities and lost their mooring, they don't have a place. So they would say, no, a hologram makes sense. That woman, I guarantee you, if you could do a lie detector test, she believes everything she's saying.
100%.
She believes it all, because she's crafted this story, and it answers all these questions for her. CIA man, Gitmo, underground, all that makes sense to her, because it answers these questions, and it fills in the blanks.
Well, the other thing that she brought up that I keep continuing to hear is there's still the narrative out there, like they covered up or they paved over the area.
Oh,
like,
my gosh, yes.
The next day. And it was actually 4 days. They were actually working on that place. They had to lock down for 3 full days. They went through and forensically processed that entire crime scene. And it was 3 full days at the FBI, the SBI. Literally, when I was there, the officer told me, and I was asking about this, and he said there was hundreds of people here. I don't know if that was an exaggeration, but clearly a lot of people there for 3 full days, 24/7, by the way. 24/7 they were processing that place so that they could open back up on Monday. That was the goal.
I think their argument when it comes to that specifically wouldn't be as strong if more people had a better understanding of how crime scene investigations work. And of course, nobody wants to actually do any work and look it up and try to get the understanding. They want somebody to explain it to them, but nobody on their side explains anything. You know what I mean? But for example, UVU, anytime you have a crime scene investigation, as soon as the investigation is done, they've gone through the process, collected all of the evidence, whatever the case, they release the crime scene. It is now up to the owner of the property. It's their job now to take care of their property. So at that point, UVU can do whatever they want with it. Now, whatever their reasons for doing what they did, I suppose we should probably ask them if we're really curious about it. But I don't know what it is that they would be covering up. Everything had been documented. There's pictures taken. And furthermore, if that's the case, well, you just can't trust investigative authorities ever, anytime.
So what you're saying, Bronson, is that those stories, because there's gaps in their knowledge as it relates to crime scene investigation, these people have filled in new stories and they've created new narratives to make sense of it because they don't know about crime scene investigation. They don't know what the process is. So they just made up a new story to make sense for them.
And it's the same, or they listen to somebody else who made up a story or whatever.
Yeah, they outsource it.
But it's
they outsource their thinking.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the SUV. I've heard this so many times. Is obviously it wasn't treated as a crime scene because it wasn't impounded and kept in possession for weeks at a time.
Right.
There's a whole thing behind it as far as like what the perceived value of the evidence of the crime scene is going to dictate how much time they spend on investigating and what they do investigating it. I would assume common sense would tell me that whoever the investigative authorities were got to the SUV, didn't allow anybody in it, and probably didn't see it as a very high value piece of evidence. So I would assume that they took pictures.
Yeah, well, what they did or didn't do with the SUVs. They may have so they may have had it for hours upon hours. We don't know.
Well, we know that Frank Turek said that once they got to the hospital and everything, they did not allow them to take anything out of the SUV because it was considered a crime scene.
Right.
It was hours later that they were fine. They released it. So then Frank was able to go and get his personal possessions. And I believe that's when he said he grabbed the necklace. So if you're going off of Frank Turek's word, they locked it down and they did some type of investigation to it. I don't know what you could do. Blood samples, take some pictures, go through the personal belongings that were in there.
Well, let me ask this. I'm gonna propose this and let me know if I'm going crazy, guys. How do we know that those pictures are of the SUV that Charlie Kirk was in?
Well, that's a great question. We don't.
We don't. So it's very possible that the SUV could have been impounded. It could have been in police custody for weeks on end. And it never, I mean, we don't know that those pictures that Candace is running around with, we have no idea that those are real. They could have just been a messy car after a bunch of kids playing softball here in the Georgia Clay. I have no idea. There's no reason to believe that Candace is telling the truth. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.